Hi, my name's Christy and this is Lazy Owl Booktube channel where I discuss all things books and comic books. Today I'm going to be doing a quick wrap up of the books that I've read this week and also a couple of books that I'm continuing on with or have started. The first book that I'm going to discuss is one that I'm actually reading for a book club, and it's called The Tattooist of Auschwitz. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that correctly, so apologies if I've just butchered that. So this is the book where I've just finished reading for my book club, and this is a book based on a true story about a man who ends up in one of the Nazi concentration camps, and his job is to tattoo his fellow prisoners, and it's his experience of what he went through during that period of time. I recently did the mid-year Booktube freakout tag, and I said that I hadn't cried during any books this year, and after reading this, that is no longer the case. This is a very emotional time for me reading this book. You know, a lot of us are very familiar with some of the things that occurred during that period of time during World War II, and this is just very confronting about some of the things that humanity is capable of, and it's very hard for me to discuss because I don't think anything that I could say would give it justice. But I rated this one 5 out of 5 stars, and it's one book that I highly recommend you read. It's very enlightening in terms of the perspective of someone who's forced to kind of do something that he doesn't agree with, and he does it in order to survive those camps. So that is the first book that I finished this week. On a lighter note, I also started and finished The Way of Kings Part 2, and I really enjoyed this, more so even than part 1. So in this novel, it focuses mostly on Kaladin and Dalinar, and I'm not going to say much more than that. Obviously, it's just going to ruin it, and there'll be spoilers if I talk about it too much, but I did enjoy the focus of those two characters in this book because I actually really like both of those characters. Kaladin is obviously, he's this person that all he wants to do is protect those around him. He doesn't want to have to accept one more person's death, and it weighs really heavily on his conscience every time someone dies. And then you've got Dalinar, and he is so attached to his code, I guess you would say, and doing things according to that code no matter what. And you can tell that these guys are both really good guys, and sometimes to their detriment as well. And I just really enjoyed reading about those characters in this book. It's very fast paced towards the end, and I didn't want to put it down, and I just really enjoyed this. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and I am reading this as part of the Storm Along 2020, and we are supposed to be reading this at a bit of a slower pace, but I have obviously read ahead because I just wanted to keep going with this and wanted to keep enjoying it without having to put it down, because I was just enjoying it so much. So that's one that I read this week. So they're the 2 books that I have finished this week. I am continuing on with a current read, which I'm just reading quite gradually, and you might have seen it on my previous videos, is Not Just Black and White. And this is a true story of a couple of women in Australia, and it's kind of letters from the Indigenous mother to her daughter and the experiences that she went through. And I am quite shocked to realise that some of this history is quite recent. And I guess when if anyone is familiar, a lot of Australians will be familiar with the stolen generation. We all know of it, but I actually didn't really, I guess it didn't click with me how recent that history is, and some of the things that led to some of those decisions that were made for the Indigenous people and what was normal for them. So this one I'm just gradually getting through, and it's quite revealing in terms of some of these things that occurred in Australia, I believe, quite recently, and that surprised me. So that's one that I'm continuing on with. Another book that I have just started, which I've been eager to start with, and I know is quite popular with a lot of other booktubers, is The Empire of Gold. So I've only just started that. I've really only a small amount of the way through, as you can see. So that one is one that I know I'm going to enjoy, and I really have no idea how the story is going to resolve itself, but I'm going to enjoy the journey. So that one is one that I've just started and will continuing on this week. So that is my wrap up of my novels for the week. I will be doing a separate wrap up for the comics, graphic novels, trade paperbacks that I've read. I have quite a few of those, so watch out for that, because I will be doing one of those very soon as well. And if you enjoyed this video, please, I would appreciate a thumbs up. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.